Hi friend, this is Adebayo Adesega once again, and I'm here to bring you the message of love. As you can see, I'm in the presence of God. Yeah, I'm in the presence of abundance. Whenever I come to the beach like this, it reminds me of who I am. It's an opportunity to be reminded of the abundance that I am. So I am here to actually bring you to that consciousness of I am. That is my goal. So without further ado, I'm here to bring you this topic, and the title of today's topic is "You Want Joy? Go through the gates." Let me say that again. If you want joy, go through the gates. Yeah, there's a scripture that came to my spirit, and that scripture says that with joy you will get water out of the wells of salvation. With joy shall you draw water out of the wells of salvation. Yeah, so with joy shall you draw water out of the wells of salvation. It's so simple and clear. It's so self-explanatory. I was meditating on this particular verse, and it opened my eyes to different things. It opened my mind to different things. First of all, I understand that we live in a world where there's so much chaos, there's so much disorder in our world right now, there's so much going on, and there's always an excuse for you not to be joyful. There's always an excuse for you not to come into that state of joy, and whatever is going on around is, it's understandable. You can decide to tell yourself, I am not going to be joyful because of some of the things that are happening. If you look at the news, if you check the news, if you check your environment, you check what is happening, so much hunger, so much disasters in the world right now. These are enough reasons why you should not be happy. These are enough reasons why you should not be joyful, And another thing, many of us, one of the misconceptions about joy is that people think that joy and happiness are the same thing. I don't know if you have watched this film by Will Smith, In Pursuit of Happiness. That film is very interesting. It shows how Will Smith was trying as much as possible to make it. Was trying to make money, trying to advance in his job, in his work life, in his family. His wife divorced him, left him because he was poor, and at the end of the day, he made it. And quote and unquote, happiness has been restored into his life. But that is not joy. Happiness is a temporary thing. If you win a lottery, you win some amount of money, or you are able to get some things, some material things. The feeling you get from that is actually very temporary. No matter what you achieve in life, the highest number of maybe days, there'll be days where you feel happy. You can get happy in 6 months, and after that 6 months, then you can now get back to your normal state of quote and unquote depression. There are a lot of people that are rich today and they are still depressed. They can't explain why. Even with all the money, with all the fame, with all the material things, people are still depressed. And why? What is the missing link? What is it that we are not doing rightly? These are some of the questions. And in the bid to answer these questions, we start seeking validation. We start seeking for external things to suffice or to substitute for the void, to fill that void that you feel that you think is there. But I'm here to tell you that joy is in you already. Joy is not something that you should be looking for. Joy is not something that you should be wanting for. Joy is who you are. It's in you. There is so much abundance in you. But the problem now is that you have refused, or we have refused, to be conscious of this particular mindset. We have refused to come into consciousness, and this is what Inspired by Love is here to tell you. The idea behind this concept, this theme, Inspired by Love, is to bring you into a state of consciousness of who you are, of what you are already, the consciousness of abundance, the consciousness of joy. That is what I'm here to help you do. The consciousness of love. You are that love in disguise. Joy is in you. The only problem now is that you have not been able to feel it. You know, there are some blocks, there are some things that have blocked that flow of desire, that flow of joy within you. That does not mean joy is not there. Joy is actually there, but you have allowed it to not flow effortlessly. Now, from the topic that I talked about, starting with the video, I said about that if you want joy or if you desire joy, go through the gates and not the fence. I think I didn't add that to it. I'm not sure I added that to it, right? If you desire joy, go through the fence. No, sorry. Go through the gates and not the fence. Now, the gates is what is inside you already. That reminds me of a scripture. You know, Bible says in a scripture in the Bible that says that, lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be lifted up, ye everlasting doors, so that the King of glory will come in. Who is that King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. See, that scripture is not as spiritual as you think. That scripture is very biological. That scripture is very psychological. And I will explain. What are the gates? The gates are already in you. The way I see it, this is just my own way of seeing it. Everybody has different ways of perceiving life, but this is just my own perception. You can actually apply that to your life and it's going to really work for you. It's worked for me so much, and it took me years of discovery and research before I got to the point of me knowing these things. So what are the gates? First of all, there's this song by Dulce Oyekon that he sang, and I love listening to that song. He says, channels of my spirit open up. That channels of the spirit that he's trying to talk about there are called the gates of your spirit. Now, the issue now is that most of our gates have been locked. Most of our gates, the gates of our spirit, that, you know, they are not aligned. They are blocked. They are stuck. So our job is to align these gates, is to remove all the blocks that are obstructing the flow of desire, the flow of joy. So once you understand that your own work is to take out all the blocks, then you experience joy without stress. You experience joy with least effort. Now, I talked about the fact that many of us are seeking validation. And what does it mean to seek validation? You are looking for external substances. You are looking for external. That's why we don't call it just validation. We call it external validation. Most of us are looking for external validation in order for us to derive or to feel the joy. You understand? Now you don't need to. Yes, I understand the fact that it is part of who we are. We have been conditioned in a way that we need joy. In fact, as a baby, when you come to this world, you need caregivers, which is our parents. Of course, it's your parents that gave birth to you. Your father and your mother came together to join together, of course, by having sex, and they gave birth to you. So in the process of growing up, we need caregivers. We need validation. Our parents needed to give us that validation, that care. So growing up, spending years and years of getting love, let's just say 18 years, from year 0 to year 18, you have been living your life by receiving validation from especially your caregivers. And now that extends to your brothers, your sisters, the people all around us, the school that we go to, our friends. These are external means of validation. they are important. We need the external validation. But when it comes to a point in your life where it has now become an addiction, when it has now become that if I don't get the external validation, if I don't get those external, you know, should I call it, I'm looking for another word apart from validation, those external inputs, then you cannot get joy, or joy as an output. So we have this mentality of garbage in, garbage out, which is okay. But I am here to tell you that joy is within you. You can bring it out. You know, you can allow the King of Glory. What is the King of Glory? The King of Glory is the God consciousness. The God consciousness which is within you. He has given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness. So that godliness is in you. You don't, it is not as, it is as much as it is outside there, it is so much more inside here. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Now do you understand? Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. So the one that you can actually work on is the one that is within you. You might not have so much control on the one that is outside. I do YouTube videos, I post. I can't control how much people will watch my views, or the people will watch my videos. I'm not the one to control that. My own job is to go within and go through the well and use joy to draw water out of the wells of salvation. And what does it mean to draw water out of the wells of salvation? Number one, I need you to understand that inspiration is what most of us are looking for. Before I did this video, definitely I was searching for inspiration. Let me just be very honest. I was actually searching for inspiration. You know, deep within me, I was feeling some kind of low state emotions and stuff like that. But I derived that inspiration within me through the mechanics of alignment. I worked it out. Work out your salvation with, look at that scripture, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. What does that mean? It does not mean that you are using fear and trembling to work out your salvation. What it means is that fear and trembling is already in you. So with that fear, you can still work it out. Fear is like a gate. That fear is an example of the gates that I talked about the other time. With that gate, through that gate, you can work out your salvation. And some people define fear as fight everything, right, and run. That's an example of fear. So fear can also be likened to the production of adrenaline in your body, which is the adrenal glands. So when you fear something, then your brain sends signals to your adrenal glands, and the adrenal glands produces adrenaline, and you want to run. That is where the meaning of fear, fight everything and run, that's what it means. You understand? But I want to tell you that you can embrace it and convert it like an alchemist. Convert that fear. Through that fear, you can convert it into joy, and that joy can well up in you, and you can find inspiration for whatever you can do. Look at that scripture again. With joy shall you draw water out of the wells of salvation. It's trying to tell you that you need inspiration. You need to come to the state of high vibration. That is what it means. Joy there signifies high vibration. It talks about coming to high states of reasoning, high states of emotions, high state of functioning, high state of vibration. If you check my previous videos, I talked a lot about vibration. I talked a lot about energy, how to come into states of energies where you can come from the low state. Of course, for you that you are depressed, you are actually in your low state, but you can derive it from within. So when I was talking about the issue of external validation, some people, for them to get external validation is to use drugs, to smoke. I've been there. There was a time I was using, quote unquote, I was using cannabis, I was using marijuana to bring myself out of that state of depression, which was not needed. Or if I didn't know these things back then, I didn't know. I thought I needed external validation, and that was not my fault. This as a result of childhood experiences, childhood trauma. You know, some of us grew up in environments where we didn't have parents that could validate us. Like, for example, when I was trying to learn the guitar when I was very young, I think, yes, I was in my teenage years back then. My dad was not around. He was not there for years. You know, I remember 1998 was when my dad left us with my mom, and I was with my mom for a lot of years. So imagine from 1998 till 2006, I did not see my dad for a large number of years. And now seeing him, as at that time I was trying to learn how to play the guitar. Now I needed a guitar and I didn't have money to buy a guitar. So immediately I saw my dad and I told him, I said, "Daddy, I want to learn the guitar. I want to learn the guitar." And so I've actually started learning, but I need a guitar. So Daddy, can you please get a guitar for me? And the next thing my dad told me was that, you know what, I'm going to disown you. How can you tell me you want to be a musician? The day I know that you played guitar, I'm going to disown you as a child. So imagine the impact of that kind of word to me. When I heard that, I instantly knew that this is a man, my father is not needed in this equation. I just quietly disengaged and detached from him, because I knew it was going to be a disruption in the flow of what I wanted. So now, you know, accumulation of all these emotions. Now growing up, you get to a point where you start feeling all these things. You start feeling these emotions. You don't know where these things, and that was the challenge I had. So I started feeling depressed. I didn't know that some of these words that some of our parents and some of our caregivers and some of our friends and the society, they've shaped the way, they've shaped our reasoning, our existence. Let me use that word. They've shaped our emotions. So what you need to do, so after some time, when I discovered the process of the art of meditation, you know, I started meditating deeply. I started studying about what meditation was. Of course, I went through the lens of Bible, scriptures, church, and at the same time, I started studying outside that. I studied people like this man, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Deepak Chopra, Aaron Doughty, and some other men on YouTube. And of course, I went through churches and pastors online. I started doing a lot of studies. Of course, my own local church too. I started studying, and I realized that meditation is a way by which you can go into the depths of your soul and detach yourself from the emotions and the feelings that are keeping you stuck in the past, and those things that are disrupting or distorting the flow of desire and the flow of joy. So now, to get inspiration is not a bad thing. Like I said in my previous video, finding pleasure, trying to find pleasure is not bad. Trying to be pleasurable, to get pleasure, is not a bad thing. But how you go through it is where, you know, you can compound problems for yourself. You can increase problems for yourself. I remember when I was using cannabis, you know, I noticed that the more I took it, yes, I will feel good for a while, and at the same time I'll come back to the state where I was. In fact, it will be worse. By the time I go back to the state I was, it will be worse than the former. And I realized that after just like 2-3 years, I realized that this is not going to work for me, because what is the point of trying to find joy? I get the joy, and it's highly temporary. I don't need temporary joy. I need something that lasts, something that will last me. So I realized that all I needed to do is to go within myself and, you know, understand that I am the creator of my reality. I am the creator of that reality, that joy that I've been looking for. I am that God. That God is in me, and the God is the source of joy. Thank you very much for watching. I love you, and I want you to be inspired by love. Yes, thank you so much. Bye.